After studying this module, you shall be able to know the meaning and the features of organizing, identify the concepts of organization, enumerate the steps in the organizing process, learn the concept of departmentation and its basis, outline the principles of organization, distinguish between formal and informal organizations, appreciate different types of organization structure, state the meaning of authority, responsibility, and accountability, evaluate the difference between delegation and decentralization.
To get things done in the organization for the attainment of goals, it is necessary to develop a framework within which everyone's role get defined, and there is also a grouping of activities and task allocation to every group and individual employee. This process is called as organizing. In order to perform the function of organizing, the manager defines, departmentalize, and assign activities so that the implementation and execution is effective, leading towards the achievement of the main objectives of the organization. Slide 16. The departmentation is required in case of large enterprises and is required due to the benefits it provides.
To begin with, let us start with the concept of organizing. Organizing is a group of activities and task allocation to every group and individual employee in an organization. In order to perform the function of organizing, the manager defines, departmentalizes, and assigns activities so that the implementation and execution is effective, leading towards the accomplishment of the objectives of the organization. On this basis, let us understand the basic features of organizing. These are division of labor, which means that the organization is divided into certain parts or divisions to get the work done in a systematic order. Integration. It is very important to integrate all the different activities at all levels in the different departments to be incorporated and integrated to develop uniformity for the attainment of the organizational objectives. Accomplishment of goals. Grouping of activities and structural relationships are created in the organization only for the purpose of the attainment of the organizational goals. Thus, organizing is the grouping of activities, a backbone of management which aims at bringing people together, tying them just for one purpose, that is, attainment of the goals of the organization. Organizational structure. It defines the authority responsibility at every position because to get the work done, some are at higher positions and some at lower positions, and they are given authority at their respective level to take decisions. Pervasive. Just like planning, organizing is also required everywhere, whether organization, family, institutions, without which it is impossible to reach to the main objectives. Unless defined, who has to do what at his place or position can never be able to fulfill the given task. According to Heyman, organizing is the process of defining and grouping activities of the enterprise and establishing the authority relationships among them. Let us now elaborate the concepts of organization. There are two concepts of organization: organization as a process and organization as a structure. Organization as a process. The entire work of the organization is divided into parts and subparts where every personnel is given a defined task. It includes a division of the whole of the work of the organization into various departments and jobs, and then grouping of similar activities and assigning work to individuals on the basis of qualifications. Organization as a structure. It means building of working relationships in order to accomplish the objectives of the enterprise. It involves defining positions of the individual employee according to the job they are holding in the organization. Complete understanding of organizing, it is very important to know how the process of organizing works. The various steps in this process are as follows. 1. Defining objectives. Objective is the basis for setting up an organization. Without objectives, there cannot be any thought of work or its grouping up or setting up the proposed organization. Second, listing of the activities. The total work is divided into various activities, departments, or functions such as sales, purchasing, production, personnel, etc. Third, grouping of activities. It involves the decision to be taken of activities on the basis of similarities and common purposes and function. Fourth, assignment of task and delegation of authority. When all the departments and sections have been categorized, the individual must be assigned the job according to the suitability and be made responsible for it also. Let us now proceed to understand the concept of formal and informal organization. Formal organization. It is a well-defined organization in terms of authority, responsibility, working relationships. The tasks and positions are clearly defined to the employees in the organization. The organization is bound by predetermined rules, regulations, and procedures created by top management. Informal organization. This organization is based on the relationship between the people, their common interests, and not on the basis of procedures, rules, and regulations defined in the organization. Such organization is developed on the basis of attitudes of the people and their emotions. Let us know about the principles of organizing. The principles of organizing are really important. These are 1. Unity of objective. No matter that there may be various departments in the organization and there are functional objectives also, but every objective, short term or long term, functional or departmental, must be directed towards one common objective of the organization. Second, specialization. Organizational structure defines the working relationship, division of work, roles, and responsibilities of an individual clearly on the basis of the specialization one has. That is, knowledge, qualification, and experience. Assignment on this basis increases the efficiency at workplace. Third, span of management. It means that only a certain number of subordinates can be supervised effectively by a manager. It is also called a span of control. Fourth, authority. The authority should be clearly defined in terms of the responsibility of completing the task, and authority should be at par with the responsibility given. 5. Responsibility. By delegating to the subordinates, a superior cannot escape from the fact that they are responsible. Superior are responsible for the work or activities of the subordinates, and similarly, subordinates must be held responsible to their superiors for the performance of the tasks assigned to them. 6. The scalar principle. This is the principle of clear line of authority from top to bottom. Every subordinate must know who his boss is. This is called the principle of chain of command. This chain should be shorter in order to be effective. 7. Continuity and flexibility. This principle implies that the entire organization structure should be arranged in such a manner that it is long lasting and continuous to exist. And for this, such a structure needs to be flexible so as to incorporate the desired changes as and when required, arising out of internal management or external environmental demands. 8. Efficiency. Efficiency lies to attain results at minimum cost that not only provide satisfaction to employees in their jobs, but at the same time providing satisfying customers and better serving the interests of the society and nation. 9. Unity of direction. There must be one plan for a group of activities directed towards the main objective. In this, though, every group will have one plan for themselves, but all these separate plans would be directed only towards the main and common objectives of the organization. 10. Exception principle. Authority is delegated to the employees in their areas so as to take decisions related to routine or day-to-day matters. Only important decisions related to tedious and complex matters should be taken up by the superiors. This will reduce time wasted and unnecessary delays in implementation. 11. Simplicity. It is related with levels in the organization. There should be minimum number of levels to have better coordination and control. 12. Participation. Participative decision making must be encouraged, or the employees must be involved in decision making related to the work they have to do. The implementation will be easier in such a case and tasks would complete on time. Important to have knowledge of types of organization. The size and nature of the enterprise may be the basis for different types of organization, but broadly, the organization may be of the following categories. 1. Line organization. It is called line organization because the directions are issued from the higher authority to the person responsible for execution of work in a straight line or vertically. This is the oldest type of organization, also called as military organization. Second, functional organization. The organization having various departments on the basis of different types of work, such as sales, purchase, production, finance, etc. The whole task of management and direction of subordinates should be divided according to the type of work involved. These types of organization lead to efficiency and facilitate production because it enables the concern to take advantage of specialization of functions. Third, line and staff organization. The line organization system exerts too much control and functional organization is divided too much. In order to have a balance between the two, a line and staff system was developed where the staff or expert advice is taken by line management based on planned specialization. This system has a direct responsibility for accomplishing the major objectives of the organization are called line functions. Let us now try to understand the concept of departmentation. In case of large organizations, it is not possible to handle all the activities or functions by the owner himself. There is a need to have divisions or separate units. These units are called departments, which are created on the basis of grouping of activities which are distinct for every department. In every department, manager is given the authority for which he has accepted the responsibility. In other words, departmentation is a process of division of enterprise into various parts on the basis of grouping or arranging of activities headed by personnel.
The departmentation is required in case of large enterprises and is required due to the benefit it provides. These benefits are specialization. A person who is qualified in a specialized area can provide benefit to the organization, and so the departments are based on the principle of division of labor to set maximum benefits of one's enterprise in that area. Then responsibility defined. Every department has a manager who is responsible for carrying out the work for their subordinates and is clear about what he has to do to increase the efficiency. Control. Better control is provided over the activities of the department that leads to the coordination. Also, budgets created for the departments are a measure of better control for measuring of performance of the employees. Short-term planning department-wise can help in checking the performance department-wise with the standard targets. Control. Better control is provided over the activities of the department that lead to the coordination. Also, budgets created for the departments are a measure for a better control for measuring of performance of the employees. Autonomy. There is a freedom of decision making to the managers in their respective departments to get the work done that provides job satisfaction and gives confidence and increases the efficiency. Performance appraisal. The performance can be checked department wise and the concerned manager is given the appropriate feedback. It helps in visualizing clearly that whether the actual performance is what was expected. He is responsible for his acts for which he was given authority. It motivates employees and provides job satisfaction to the employees.
Numerous bases on which departmentation can be done. The different bases of departmentation are: 1. Function. When same kind and all related work is grouped under one area, it is the functional basis of creating departments. Second, product. It happens when organization has grown such that all the original advantages of functional departments are lost. The basis here is to establish each product or groups of closely related product in a product line as a relatively autonomous, integrated, administrative unit within the overall framework of the company. This type is adopted for product expansion and diversification and improvement in case of complex product with huge amount of investment in case of manufacturing concerns. Third, region. Territorial basis is required in case of large organizations dispersed physically in the form of various zones or branches that produce the same good or perform similar services at various locations. Fourth, customer. Based on customer consideration, the departments are created. For example, educational institutions offering courses on the basis of the need of the students. It aims at producing customer satisfaction and a solution to a customer problem. 5. Process or equipment. It is particularly used in case of manufacturing concerns. For example, in case of textile industry, the process may include spinning, weaving, dyeing, drying, etc. 6. Time. Grouping of the activities on the basis of time, particularly seen in case of hospitals, telephone companies, where there are 2 to 3 shifts and an employee has to work in a day and night. 7. Numbers. Here the organization is departments are created on the basis of number of persons. Also, there is a need to understand the forms of organization structure. There are three types of organization structure: project organization, matrix organization, and network organization. 1. Project organization. In this structure, the organization is created on the basis of project that the organization is proposed to handle and its related activities. The project manager is responsible for the completion of the project by coordinating all the activities in that direction. For example, projects related to construction of building, flyover, etc. Second, matrix organization, also called as grid organization. It is a combination of product and functional organization. Such organizations requires services of functional man as well as the specialized knowledge of a product man. Thus, two superiors, one a departmental manager and second a product manager. It is recognized as dual chain of command system, for example, aerospace, chemicals, companies, hospitals, etc. Third, network organization. A network organization is a pattern of social relations over a set of persons, positions, groups, or organizations having flexible relations with external third parties such as customers, suppliers, etc. Before moving further, let us know the essential parameters in an organization. These are authority. It implies the right to give orders or command others to get the work done in the organization. Power. It is the capacity of an individual to influence the behavior of others to get the desired results and can be used to award punishment or reward. Responsibility. It implies the obligation to perform the duty.
Authority is the right to give orders or command others to get the work done in the organization. It is a guide for others' action. A manager directs the action of his subordinates to achieve or organizational goals. A basis of relationship between the manager and the subordinate is the authority, which is considered as a legal power to direct someone for getting things done. The authority can be a knowledge of authority based in a specialized knowledge such as CA, CS, etc. A position authority on the basis of the position being held by the person in the organization. A legal authority imposed by operation of law, and operational authority when a person like foreman, supervisors, etc. is authorized for a routine type of work. There are different views or theories of authority. According to the formal authority theory, the authority originates from top to lower levels of management. In case of acceptance theory, the authority of a manager should be accepted by his subordinates and then it is regarded as a real authority. The competence theory considers the knowledge and skills of a person as a basis of authority. The position of the person is not taken into account. Power. Power is the capacity of an individual to influence the behavior of others to get the desired results and can be used to award punishment or reward. Power varies from person to person and it is not legitimate, that is, not based on rules and regulations, unlike authority, which is based on rules and regulations. If the position of a person changes, it does affect the amount of power. Authority arises on account of organizational structure whereas power is attached with the individual and emerges on account of personal factors. Responsibility. Responsibility is the obligation to perform the duty. An assignment of task to a subordinate becomes his responsibility to complete it. It is an obligation and not merely a duty to be performed by the subordinates. Acceptance of duty by an employee becomes the responsibility to complete the task to the best of his duty. Responsibility cannot be delegated. It arises due to structural relationships in the organization where a superior has to assign a task to the subordinates and subordinates' responsibility is to complete it on the time. Responsibility flows from bottom to top. Now we'll see what is accountability. If an employee has to perform the task given by his superior, he is responsible for completing it, and at the same time he will be held accountable for the results of the performance. It means a person is answerable for the results, and if the results are adverse, he will be accountable for the same. Therefore, subordinates are responsible and accountable for satisfactory performance to their superiors. Now we need to know about the difference between authority and responsibility. Authority is the right to command others and flows from top to bottom, and responsibility is the obligation of a subordinate to perform the given duty and flows from bottom to top. Authority arises due to official position and can be delegated, but in case of responsibility, it is the relationship between the superior and the subordinate due to which responsibility arises and it cannot be delegated.
Let us now understand the concept of delegation and decentralization. Where in an organization the work of an executive increases so much that it is not possible to cope up with it, then work is divided among subordinates by executive. This is called delegation. Here, executive expects from the subordinates to perform the work delegated to them the way he would have performed it. Delegation of authority is the process of sharing workload with immediate subordinates. To delegate is to grant or divide the authority among subordinates to get things done. A manager, by delegating authority, is not escaping from his responsibility.
Where in organization the work of an executive increases so much that it is not possible to cope with it, then work is divided among subordinates by executive, and this is called as delegation. Here, executive expects from the subordinates to perform the way he would have performed it. Delegation of authority is the process of sharing workload with immediate subordinates. To delegate is to grant or divide the authority among subordinates to get things done. A manager, by delegating authority, is not escaping from his responsibility. The basic elements of delegation includes assignment of duties by superior to subordinate, delegation of authority to the subordinate to perform the assigned duty or work is the permission given to him to do so, and also certain rights to be taken by him which are necessary to perform the duty, and then creation of delegation on the part of the subordinates, which is in the nature of moral compulsion to complete the task given to him for which he will be held accountable. The various factors that affects the delegation are willingness of the subordinates to accept it, otherwise authority cannot be delegated. Superior's attitude to share the work with subordinate decides for the delegation of authority. Workload is the main factor in deciding the degree of delegation. Greater the work, greater will be the delegation of authority. Trust in the subordinates decides how much authority is to be delegated to the subordinates by the manager. In case of lack of confidence, superior will hesitate to delegate the authority. When authority is delegated to a subordinate by an executive, the executive does not pass on the responsibility for it. He will still be accountable for it to his superiors. The benefits of delegation are that it reduces the workload of an executive and facilitates quick decision making, increases employees' morale, and facilitates business expansion.
On the other hand, decentralization is an extended form of delegation, a systematic effort of delegation of authority to the lower level of management, which increases the role of subordinates because it is for all the levels of management in the organization.
Decentralization reduces the burden of the higher authorities. It increases the morale of the employees, facilitates expansion and diversification, reduces delays in decision making, gives better control, ensures better coordination, and facilitates performance evaluation. The various factors affecting the degree of decentralization are the size of the organization, availability of the competent employees, attitude of executives, adequate control and discipline, significance of the decision, diversification of the product, environmental factors, location of the target market, and the sound communication system. Now let us recapitulate what we have learnt in this module. It is necessary to develop a framework within which everyone's roles get defined and there is a grouping of activities and task allocation to every group and individual employee, and this is called as organizing. The two concepts of organization are organization as a process and organization as a structure. The process of organization starts with defining objectives, listing of the activities, grouping of the activities, and then assignment of task and delegation of authority. Formal organization is well-defined organization in terms of authority, responsibility, working relationships, unlike informal organization. We also learnt the principle of organization such as unity of objectives, unity of command. Then we learnt specialization, span of management, authority, responsibility, the scalar principle, continuity and flexibility, efficiency, unity of direction, exception principle, simplicity, participation and balance. We also learnt about line organization, which is one in which directions are issued from the higher authority to the person responsible for execution of work in a straight line or vertically. Functional organization also has various departments on the basis of different types of work such as sales, purchase, production, finance, marketing, HR, etc. The two concepts we learnt here, organization as a process and organization as a structure. In line and staff organization, staff or expert advice is taken by line management based on planned specialization. Departmentation is a process of division of enterprise into various parts on the basis of grouping or arranging of activities headed by personnel. The basis of departmentation in case of large organizations can be the function, product, region, customer, process or equipment. An organizational structure is a structure of clearly defined relationships and positions of the personnel. Authority is the right to give orders. Power is the capacity of an individual to influence the behavior of others, and responsibility is the obligation to perform the duty. Delegation of authority is the process of sharing the workload with immediate subordinates, and decentralization disperse authority to the lower level of management.
Let us now summarize what we have learnt in this module. In this module, we have learnt about the meaning and the features of organizing, the concepts of organization, the organizing process. We have also learnt about the concept of departmentation and its basis, the principles of organization. Further, we have discussed the formal and informal organizations, different types of organization structure, meaning of authority, responsibility, and accountability. And at the end of this module, we have discussed the concept of delegation and decentralization.